Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are going to give it just a couple minutes for everyone to kind of come in and get settled. But in the meantime, as people are filtering in, why don't you kind of pop the name of your organization and where you're located in the chat so we can get to know you a little bit better. I mean, I can start. I'm Meredith and I'm in Toronto.
I'm Mackenzie and I'm in Atlanta.
Nice. Welcome. We've got somebody from the Perfect Earth Project in New York City. Welcome, Whitney. Okay, the YMCA and Fargo. Okay. Amazing. All right, let's get this show on the road here. So first of all, thank you all so much for taking some time out of your busy schedules to be here. My name is Meredith. I'm Keela's head of marketing, and we also have Stephanie, Keela's marketing specialist, helping us out today on the tech side of things. So you may see Steph in the chat box or answering some of your questions. So feel free to say hello to Steph. And before we get started, I just want to start the session today by acknowledging that Keela's head office is located in Vancouver, which is on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish people, the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations, and give thanks for their generosity and hospitality on these lands and waters. If you are new to Keela, welcome. Keela is a donor management and fundraising platform that helps you deepen donor engagement, centralize your data, and raise more for your cause. Keela also offers an integration with Double the Donation that empowers your donors to secure matching gifts directly from Keela's donation forms. And just before I introduce today's session, I just have a couple housekeeping items to go over. So today's session will be about 45 minutes in length, plus a 10 to 15 minute Q&A session at the end. And throughout the presentation, please feel free to write any questions that you have for Mackenzie in the chat box or in the Q&A, and we'll be sure to get to as many of them as we can. And speaking of the chat box, please remember to select everyone when you type so that all of our guests today can read your comments and questions. And finally, the webinar will be recorded. You will receive access to the recording within the next few business days. Now, with all of that out of the way, I'm really excited to welcome our expert speaker today, Mackenzie Burke-Buckler. Mackenzie is the Partnership Success and Marketing Specialist at Double the Donation. With a master's in marketing degree, she understands the importance of nailing messaging and creating cohesive campaigns that resonate with audiences. And in her role at Double the Donation, Mackenzie works to help nonprofits and educational institutions leverage the power of corporate matching gifts, which you're all here to hear more about today. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Mackenzie.
Yeah, thank you, Meredith. And thank you to everyone for telling us where you're from in the chat and your organization. Really excited to meet you all and kind of engage with you today. As Meredith mentioned, my name is Mackenzie Burke-Buckler and I work for Double the Donation. If you are unfamiliar with us, I like to sum up kind of what we do by saying that we simplify matching gifts for your donors and your team. And so today I'm going to talk a lot through matching gift strategies, as you can guess, but just to give kind of an introduction into Double the Donation, we have an automation, matching gift automation software that, like I said, can really make things a lot simpler in securing this funding source for your team. As Meredith also mentioned, we're really proud to partner with Keela. We have a technical integration with Keela, which just means that you can really set up our automation, connect the two systems really easily. But we also often partner to provide educational sessions like these. So really excited to kind of talk through some of that today and to be here with all of you. In terms of like a formal agenda, I'm going to divide the content out into three main sections, really. So first, we'll begin with like a little bit of background and educational part. So I want to kind of just be sure that we're all on the same page about what matching gifts are, kind of how these programs work, what some matching gift challenges are, and kind of things like that. I think that the reason I want to start there is having that understanding and having kind of a rich understanding of all that is really foundational to the rest of our discussion, because from there, we'll want to, be equipped to kind of develop a matching gift strategy that positions you for success and drives results. And then, of course, at the end, I'll kind of talk a little bit about what we might be able to expect from the future of matching gifts, just to kind of further re-emphasize why it's important to get started with this today. So without further ado, I know that we have a lot of grounds to cover. And so let's really kind of dive into those sections. As promised, I do want to start with thinking about the matching gift opportunity. So what are corporate matching gifts? What's important to know as we really aim to fuel and increase our matching gift success? To give a really basic definition of matching gifts, I always like to use this example first, just to get us all on the same page. If you have a donor that works for a company with a matching gift program, let's say the Home Depot, they contribute $100 to your organization, then they would tell their employer, hey, I made this gift, I'd like it to be matched. And ultimately, the employer, in this instance, the Home Depot, would also make a donation of $100 to your organization. Now, I very much kind of oversimplified it there, but I think starting with that concrete example and something that's really understandable kind of ensures that we're all on the same page about corporate matching gifts in particular. But with that, I do want to make sure we unpack the nuances in matching gift programs as well. And so that really brings me to this point, to these common kind of matching gift guidelines or components that we see. Unfortunately, there's not one standard matching gift program. And what I mean by that is that every company, so the Home Depot, like I just said, think CarMax, think Starbucks, right? All of these companies that have matching gift programs in place, they all specify different guidelines for their program. And so matching gift programs are not standardized. And so we see that matching gift programs often differ based on the 5 guidelines we have on the screen here. And really what I mean is companies will be very explicit in specifying what they'll match. And so the first thing that companies specify is institution eligibility. All that means is that they'll decide which nonprofits or institutions exactly can receive a match. So is it all registered 501c3s that employee gifts can be matched to? Is it maybe only higher education institutions? Can K-12 schools receive matches, right? Is it only mission-aligned nonprofits? There are kind of restrictions that they could put into place, but even though I mentioned this, I think that the good news and the thing that I want to make note of is that we're seeing companies less and less implement those institution restrictions. They really want their employees to be able to give to causes that matter to them. And so what really that means is that we have a lot of open choice programs becoming the norm. And with those open choice programs, every nonprofit, every organization on this call does stand to benefit from matching gifts. So there's definitely room for everyone on the table to benefit from matching. So important to keep in mind that some companies might have restrictions, but the good news is that that's less and less becoming common. Moving on, though, the other guideline to keep in mind and something that we see specified is the match ratio. This just means that companies decide like how to match gifts. For every dollar an employee donates, will they also donate a dollar, meaning that their match ratio is like that 1-to-1? Or maybe are they like more generous than that and they'll donate $2 for every dollar an employee donates, meaning that their match ratio is 2-to-1, right? Companies can decide that. And the good news is that companies are becoming more and more generous in recent years as well. So as you can see, there's a trend here. We're seeing companies kind of becoming more generous in their programs. The third guideline, though, is employee eligibility. This one's fairly straightforward. We just mean that companies kind of choose who they can extend this benefit to. So will they only match donations made by full-time employees, or perhaps can part-time and, retirees also submit match requests? In some instances, they might even make the spouses of an employee eligible. And so again, companies are kind of controlling that employee eligibility, and it's just something to keep on the back of your mind so that you make sure you uncover every match opportunity. Next, we have that gift amount. Here, companies just decide a minimum and maximum amount they'll match. So maybe it's only worth it for them to match donations over like $15, and maybe they only want to match maybe $1,000 per employee per year. Those minimums and maximums, as you can guess, though, vary widely from company to company. And we see a lot of companies being really generous, matching up to like tens of thousands of dollars per employee per year, too. So obviously, the impact of that can be really, really profound. And then lastly, just to keep in mind, that donors will have to submit their match request to their employer within a certain time frame. Sometimes companies want a match request in within like 6 months of a donation or something like that. But more commonly, companies want match requests in by the end of the calendar year when that donation was made. So what that means is like a donor who gives today might have until December 31st to submit their match request. And some companies might even add on like a 1 to 2 month grace period to that. And so I know that this was all kind of really foundational, basic education information, but I think that with all of those parameters and going over them, I hope I've equipped you with some knowledge that you can take with you as you explain what matching gifts are and what to look out for to your donors and your team. I think understanding how matching gift programs vary, but yet still seeing that no matter what form they take, matching gift programs generate value is really key in being able to approach this funding source and earn more from it. Beyond just kind of that obvious value that matching gifts provide in terms of helping you increase your available funding from that dispersed matched itself, though, the other really good thing, and I think the important thing to note as you prioritize this funding source, is that donors love matching gifts, right? And because of that, this can be a really great way for you to connect with donors and kind of further move them along their decision timeline and get them to give more to you even. To show you what I mean, I have a few stats here in case you like numbers and you want to use that to build your case. And so first, we know that 84% of donors are actually more likely to donate if their gifts are matched. So if a donor knows that they're match eligible, that can oftentimes get them to really understand and see the value of their gift. I like to think of it along the lines of knowing that their $25 contribution will really result in $50 for your mission can be really motivating and can get this donor to go ahead and submit their gift. And so they want you to receive their gift. They want you to receive their match. So they're probably going to act swiftly and kind of decisively. In a similar vein, since the matching gift appeal is kind of differentiated and goes beyond simply asking a donor to dig deeper into their pocket, contribute their own dollars, right? We also see that these appeals can be quite effective in helping you gain donor attention and kind of increase responsiveness to your solicitations. The stat that I have here is that 71% more donors respond to fundraising appeals mentioning matching. And so this can obviously help you then reach new audiences, reactivate lapsed donors, gain that attention, and really stand out, which I think is great news as well. And then, of course, we also know that a 51% increase in donation amount can result from mentioning matching. And so you kind of have two reasons at play here. One, we talked about those minimum and maximum amounts that companies will match. And so sometimes in order to meet their minimum or fully use their maximum, employees might increase the size of their gift kind of in response to that. But I think that the second reason we see this is more psychology or motivation based. If a donor knows that their gift will be doubled, they know the bigger the gift, the bigger the match. And of course, that means the bigger impact they have on a mission that they care about. So they might simply like give more to help more beneficiaries and have that greater outcome. As I kind of prepare to move on, I'd love to hear which of these numbers or statistics excited you the most to think about or maybe surprised you the most. Is it that 84% of donors are more likely to donate, a 71% increase in response rate can occur, or the 51% increase in donation amount? I ask this question because I know when I first kind of heard these stats, it was really surprising to me. I think for me, the 51% increase in donation amount was perhaps most surprising because obviously you can think of all of the benefits that that can have. You receive the higher initial contribution and you receive the higher match on top of that. That can really help you earn more for your mission and enable you to do a lot more. As I'm seeing those responses come in, I'm seeing a lot of people thinking more likely to donate. That's really a great news as well. You know, being able to increase conversion and get more donors kind of actively involved with your causes is really exciting. So I appreciate those responses coming in there. And I agree, all of these can kind of be shocking, exciting to think about, and clearly kind of demonstrates all the value that matching gifts can contribute to your organization. So glad that you guys were able to engage there a little bit and to provide those. And so hopefully through this slide and through those numbers, we've highlighted that matching gifts can improve the effectiveness of your marketing, can improve the effectiveness of your fundraising solicitations, while also kind of setting you on the right track later to build stronger donor relationships, which is something that we'll kind of, hint at next. And so that's kind of what I'm going to move on to and what I want to cover now. Promoting matching gifts helps really build strong donor relationships because you're establishing trust with your donors and demonstrating that you kind of steward donor funds responsibly. You're kind of showing that you're working to make this donor's donation stretch and go as far as possible. And it shows your commitment to making the most of every donor dollar and finding opportunities to increase the impact those donor dollars have. You show you value the donor, you want them to take advantage of their employer program, and you really show that you offer multiple ways to give back to your organization. The donor can kind of get involved and help the cause in more ways than one. Demonstrating all of that really helps you build trust with donors and instill confidence. And when they see you as responsible, they can trust their gift is really being put to good use. They don't have to worry about kind of it not having an impact. And so I think that this point here, that promoting matching gifts demonstrates responsibility, is another great point to make because you're building strong donor relationships. And that's why we want to promote matching gifts and kind of incorporate them into our fundraising strategy. Given all of those benefits then, and what I just described as being able to demonstrate your responsibility, I think the good news and something that I want to cover here is that we know matching gift programs and matching gift opportunities exist everywhere. If you want to think of the major players alone, we know that 65% of Fortune 500 companies offer matching gift programs. Of course, those companies alone have a lot of employees that might be interested in or maybe already contributing to your cause. So that's a really great opportunity. But of course, other businesses beyond just those see the merit in matching gift programs and are implementing them as well. So smaller companies, more regional companies, companies across different industries and in different areas. So that means everyone on this call can benefit, which I know I've said before, but I think that's something important to keep in mind. All in all, that means that over 26 million individuals work for companies with matching gift programs. So again, sure to be some overlap with your donor pool. You likely already have or can reach match eligible donors and benefit from those matches. To revert back to or circle back to what I said earlier, there really is room for everyone at the table. All nonprofits really can benefit with that many individuals eligible. And so that's really kind of what we want to emphasize here. Of course, though, I think all of that kind of begs the question, though. Why are you not already benefiting from matches maybe as much as might be expected? Like there are so many people, so many donors eligible. Why are you not seeing more matching gift revenue kind of funneling into your organization? And that brings us kind of to this pivotal point in our discussion here. Despite kind of all of those benefits, all those opportunities, it is true that nonprofits oftentimes are still missing out. In fact, we're missing out to the tune of $4 to $7 billion each year. That's kind of how much matching gift revenue is left on the table on a yearly basis, which again, I think is staggering. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, but hopefully, you're recognizing some themes here. The average fundraising institution actually receives just 1.31% of individual contributions and matching gifts, but we know that they likely qualify for much more. And so, of course, what we're going to want to do is solve for this matching gift revenue gap. We want to close that matching gift revenue gap. And to close it, we need to understand this crucial point at the bottom here. Donors aren't submitting their match request. We're not reaching that stage. And again, I think given all those benefits I highlighted and how I think I even explicitly said something along the lines of donors love matching gifts, you might be wondering why. It seems like I'm being a little bit counterintuitive or contradicting myself. Why are donors not submitting the request if they love matching? What is kind of the reasoning behind this? And so that, again, really leads us to this point here. And I want to say, I think we actually have some fortunate news. The reason donors aren't submitting their request is because they simply don't know that they're eligible a lot of the time. While you might be thinking, how's that good news? The reason that, let me explain kind of my thought process behind this. It's not that donors don't want to submit their match requests. It's not a donor motivation issue that we have at play here. It's not that donors know that they're match eligible and are like actively choosing not to submit their match request. It's actually that they just need to be educated and informed, and providing that education or information is much easier or simpler to do than having to fix a motivation issue. So again, that's why I'm calling it good news here. All you need to do to really begin benefiting is highlight the match opportunity to your donors and remind them that to determine their eligibility and to engage with the process. Because once they know that they're eligible, we see that donors are usually highly motivated to kind of finish that process through to completion. They want to have that amplified impact. But since maybe the employee kind of forgot about the matching gift program or was never told about it explicitly, then it can oftentimes fall on you as a nonprofit or fundraising organization to increase that awareness. We have some numbers on the screen here that kind of back up this statement about low donor awareness. So we have like the 78% of donors have no idea whether their employer offers a matching gift program, only 7% submit a request, right? But the point being that we kind of have a problem here that can easily be solved if we just devote some of our strategy and a few resources to prioritizing matching gift awareness and getting this opportunity kind of in front of the eyes of donors. And so once you incorporate matching gifts into your fundraising strategy, that's really going to help you reach your goals and begin to unlock these new opportunities for your organization. And so that's what I want to dive into now, is how do we kind of incorporate matching gifts into your fundraising strategy? How can we help you reach your goals? So here we're going to dive into some best practices and ideas to keep in mind as you do develop that matching gift strategy. I like to preface this by saying that I know fundraising professionals are busy, right? You all likely have a lot on your plate. And so in recognition of that, I want to emphasize two things. One, as we go through these ideas, remember that you can adopt some of them or and not others. You can adopt all of them, right? Do what makes sense for your organization, what you have the bandwidth for. While the most robust matching gift strategies include all of the steps that we'll go over, I know that as you roll this out, it might not be possible to get started right away with everything. And remember, that's okay, right? This can be a gradual process. I just want to encourage you to get started with some of these today, because as we've said, matching gift solicitations, matching gift appeals can really give you that ROI. And then two, the other thing to keep in mind is that as you implement a few of these, you're likely to see that return. You're likely to see that success, and this can kind of strengthen donor relationships as well. So that's what I want to keep in mind. And so let's kind of start diving in here a little bit. I'm going to break this down really into 3 stages here with tips on how to do each. And so as stage 1, just like with all of your other fundraising efforts and tactics, you really need to increase donor awareness and build excitement. We just discussed that low awareness and a lack of know-how when it comes to matching. And so the very first and most foundational or important thing to do is make sure donors know that matching exists and offer them education that makes them kind of able to better understand the opportunity at hand. As you increase that awareness, though, as we'll touch on, it's not only about providing educational facts. Yes, I think that that's extremely important, but it's also important to connect matching gifts back to your mission and ensure that your donors are really aware of the impact and meaning of matching gifts to your organization specifically. Being able to tie the match to your mission and your beneficiaries or your outcomes is really crucial to building that excitement and making matching an even more empowering and satisfying part of the donation process. And so let's kind of unpack those 2 ideas here, and I'll give you some ideas of how to get this stage underway. First, I know we mentioned that education piece and building awareness. You want to be able to give donors the information they need. You want to be well equipped to kind of answer their matching gift questions so that you can really eliminate confusion and reduce the risk of any roadblocks presenting themselves. And so in order to kind of gather that information in one place and one kind of central place of truth, I always suggest creating a matching gift page on your website. If I look at nonprofit websites, I know a lot of you already have ways to give pages, right? You outline all of the giving avenues you accept. You kind of give donors ideas for how they specifically can get involved and become this contributor. And so creating a matching gift page allows you to do the same thing. You can even nestle it or make it accessible from your ways to give page as well, in order to increase the traffic to the page and encourage those who might not otherwise be seeking this page out to discover it and discover about matching. This page really is a great addition to your website that I think can bolster the content you already have there and further kind of encourage web visitors to explore your domain and explore all the ways to give back to you. Out of curiosity, will I go over some other content and perhaps ideas for improvement for your own matching gift page? I'm going to launch a poll now, and I'd love to know if you already have a dedicated matching gift page on your website. It's always just interesting for me to see if any organizations are already doing this. But as those kind of come in, if you're wondering what depth and breadth of information you might be able to have or provide here, I like to think of it as a place where you want to provide sufficient yet digestible facts and details. So maybe you include a description of what matching gifts are. Maybe you list some companies that match gifts, especially if those companies are close to you geographically, or there would be a high likelihood of some sort of like mission overlap that would make those employees likely to donate to you. Maybe you also provide some sort of information on the matching gift process here and that a donor typically has to submit a request. You kind of have 2 options when it comes to that. First, if you leverage matching gift automation, you can actually embed a database into this page where the donor could search for their company and immediately determine if they're eligible and receive like a link to their matching gift form or portal. Of course, that's a really easy way to give every single web visitor the specific and personalized information they need on the matching gift process. However, I know that not everyone uses automation yet or might not have that availability. I still highly recommend creating this page, and instead of, embedding a database, you can do something like add a blurb that highlights the typical matching gift process, tells a donor they'll likely need to submit a request to their employer, and then you can encourage them to contact either their company's HR department to find out if they're eligible, or you can encourage them to check with their employer for that eligibility. That obviously will require, the donor, of course, to take a little bit of additional action, but it still points them in the right direction and gives them a good idea of a next step that'll get them closer to being able to submit their match. And so offering that information that encourages a donor to see if matching applies to them and how to get involved is key. And so I think this dedicated matching gift page effectively does that and allows you to kind of close that donor awareness gap. As I mentioned, make this page discoverable or linked from your Ways to Give page. Add it into maybe your navigation bar so that someone exploring your site can easily find it. And then, of course, make it findable from your site search bar so that if someone is actually directly seeking out this information, they can find it really quickly without having to navigate away from your site or poke through a bunch of pages. We really want to keep those web visitors on your domain interacting with your site, clicking through your resources. And so you want to make it easy for visitors to access their information, which is why you want to make it really, really discoverable on your website. The other reason that I urge creating this page is because when it comes to making the matching gift appeal, I know you're going to want to adopt a multi-channel approach, right? It's likely that you're going to be talking about matching periodically, maybe on social media. Maybe you send a newsletter related to matching gifts, maybe a direct mail piece mentions matching, or even at your fundraising events, if you have those, you want to kind of introduce attendees to the idea of matching. And if you have this page, you can really create an integrated campaign and direct traffic there. So in that direct mailer, you could add a QR code that directs traffic to this page. In your social media posts, you could link to this page so you can mention matching across these various channels without having to go into all of the details. At an event, you can add a QR code to this page on a lobby poster, right? You can pique curiosity with a matching gift appeal and then direct more people to this page to get the information they need as needed. And so I think that this is a really great benefit in ensuring that your matching gift appeals have maximum impact and are able to be effective on multiple platforms and across multiple communication channels that might have different norms for like the type, the depth, or the breadth of content that's considered acceptable there. So again, really a lot of benefits associated with putting in a little bit of time and devoting a few resources to creating this page. I think you can leverage it in more ways than one. And I see that we have a few organizations that already have a dedicated matching gift page, a few others who don't have this yet. Again, you can start really simple, just simply create the page, or even just layering matching gifts into your Ways to Give page. Mentioning matching as one way can be a really great way to get started, but I really think this is one of the things that can drive the most impact, because we know once people are on your domain, they're looking for ways to get involved. And if you can position matching gifts as one of those ways, provide them the information they need to understand what matching gift is, you can really produce maximum results. So excited to see that this might be something that you guys can kind of get implemented and started today to provide an immediate boost to your matching gift strategy. But along with, education, I think, I know I already mentioned this, but we also want to make sure that we build excitement and ensure the donor understands the benefits of a match to them. And so in order to do that, I think it all goes back to really demonstrating matching gift impact. And there are really two key ways to do this. One relies on numbers a little bit if you want to take that option. So for example, if your organization maybe quantifies the impact of different donation amounts, you're probably already able to demonstrate that impact. What I mean by that is maybe you're a food bank and you already say something like $25 results in food for a week for 5 families. Well, then a donor who's about to give $25 knows that their gift will really feed 10 families once matched. They can very clearly and tangibly think about that impact and have that impact top of mind. The significance of their gift really becomes crystal clear, right? So that's one option. But the other thing that I see being really effective is actually not related to numbers. It's related to stories and tying a match directly back to some sort of mission impact, story of transformation, or kind of mission programming piece. So let's say that you're an animal shelter. Can you maybe tell a story of how a dog came into your shelter, maybe afraid, in need of medical services, but because of matching gifts, you were able to provide that dog the treatment he needed so that he was healthy again and able to be adopted by a family? If you're a hospital or a healthcare-based organization, can you maybe talk about how matching gifts allowed you to fund some sort of research, and the result of that research was that your patient who had been sick was able to go home and was cured, right? If you're an environmental organization, can you talk about a specific area of land you were able to restore and maybe the positive impact that had on community members and how that will set the community up for long-term success? I could go on for hours with these different examples, but I just wanted to make it a little more tangible. My point here really being that every nonprofit, every fundraising organization has some sort of stories of transformation you tell, some sort of way where you can show what matching gifts did or what they could do for your mission. I know that some organizations might not have raised much from matching gifts before today, and therefore you might not yet have those powerful stories to tell about what matching gifts have done already, but you can talk about how matching gifts could enable an outcome and show why they're really needed for you to progress. You can still leverage storytelling in that way. We know that donors kind of ultimately contribute to your organization because they care about that mission, they care about your beneficiaries. And so the more you can tie your messaging back to that and have it be a cohesive theme throughout not only your matching gift communications, but all of your fundraising communications, I think really the better. This effectively gets donors excited and eager to determine their match eligibility, donate, and submit a match request to have that impact, which I know is the goal. So before I was talking about building awareness, now I'm talking about building excitement as well. In terms of telling stories, just to give you a few other ideas, be sure to use engaging visuals, perhaps even consider creating like a video that highlights the benefits of matching gifts. Within those videos, you could really demonstrate perhaps the changes that matching gifts have made possible. You can communicate how simple matching gifts are so that your donors feel empowered and able to take action. And then, of course, that video could be used across multiple channels that we discussed before. You could embed that video on your Ways to Give or your matching gifts page. You could add it to your social media feed. You could guide direct mail donors to a YouTube page that has this video, right? Whatever the scenario, using something like a video or even just powerful images to bring storytelling to life and evoke an emotional response that really makes the power of matching gifts really clear to your donors can certainly help elevate your efforts. And so I hope here that I've shown you that we want the donor to be able to envision themselves, their gift, and their match as kind of a hero in your story, enabling that transformation, enabling those outcomes, and allowing you to do more. This is kind of my favorite tip, if I'm being honest, that we'll provide throughout, because I know it allows you this opportunity to talk about your mission more, to really demonstrate why your mission is important, why matching is important to your mission, and what that will allow you to do in the long run. So I think incorporating that storytelling, demonstrating matching gift impact is one really clear way to encourage your donors to interact with the process and submit their request. And so those two steps in that stage kind of focused on piquing curiosity and converting your audience by making the matching gift appeal and providing that education. So hopefully at that point, you've effectively persuaded this individual to donate. And now is the time really to ensure you're equipped to uncover match opportunities. It's critical to know which of your donors qualify for those programs so that, yes, you have this on hand, but also so that you can communicate that eligibility to the donor after they process their gift and submit their contribution. And so really that's what we're going to talk about now, uncovering match opportunities. How do you do that? And fortunately, I have one best practice here in order to do that, because there's one surefire way to make sure that this happens. And that really is to incorporate matching gifts into the donation process by asking your donors where they work. So very simply, on your donation form, add a field that says something along the lines of, let us see if your company offers a matching gift program, or let's see if your donation could be doubled, enter your company name, right? Something that provides context to the donor of why you're asking for their employment information and kind of prompts them to enter their employer name. I think by adding that context and asking this question, you not only prompt donors to enter that information, you kind of empower them to do it. As we mentioned before, when a donor knows that their gift might be eligible to be matched, that can oftentimes encourage them to give more. It can make them more satisfied. It can increase the chances that they actually convert and don't abandon your form, right? There are a lot of different benefits that are really important to keep in mind here, and why asking for this information during the online donation process is so powerful. We want to capture information on our donation form because donors are also already going through this kind of act of filling out fields. They're already in front of their computer, they're already on their phone supplying that information. And so this is really the most timely and convenient time for you to ask the donor to give you that information. It eliminates the need for them to fill out an additional form or additional sheet and answer another solicitation, right? It'll make it seem like a very natural ask. As we move on here and I review a few other points related to this, I'd love to hear if you're already capturing employment information from your donors. Feel free to let us know in that poll that's launching. I'd love to hear that. But as I kind of wait for those to come in, remember, it's not just your online donors who you should collect employment information from to uncover match eligibilities and to communicate those opportunities. Your offline donors should also have this opportunity to interact with matching and take advantage of that opportunity. So for example, if you receive a donation over the phone, can you maybe briefly explain what corporate matches are? Ask the donor if they can tell you where they work so you can follow up later with their eligibility and next steps. If you send a mailer that allows the donor to send a check back, can you make sure that you ask the donor where they work so that you can communicate that later, right? If you're having a major gift conversation, figure out where the donor works, right? So all of those donors, all of our donors should know that matching exists, and we should collect that information in as direct of a manner as possible, because we know donors respond well to matching, and because the more proactive we are, the easier it is to uncover those match opportunities so we can ultimately drive those matches to completion and receive that additional revenue. There are, of course, a host of benefits associated with mentioning matching to all donors, to mentioning matching throughout the donor life cycle, and to implement a strong matching gift strategy and personalized donor journey with matching gifts, having employment information on hand is really critical. And as a last tip and idea, if you choose not to ask donors where they work, there are other kind of more time-consuming ways to go about this, just in case you want some of those ideas. For example, I think about LinkedIn can be a great resource to capture that information. You can look at major matching gift company team pages with these programs, or companies near you that have matching gift programs in place. Can you look at their team pages if you have any donors listed there and see if there's any overlap? Of course, you can ask removed the donation process entirely. We recommend that, especially if donors don't enter their employment information on your donation form. Can you give them an extra chance or opportunity on your confirmation page? And again, through your post-donation outreach to let you know where they work and interact with the process. And then one other thing, we always suggest that you capture information from your donors frequently, that employment information. So each time they donate, ask, because we know that people are switching jobs a lot. And so you always want to have that accurate, up-to-date information on hand. So that's why you should ask every time. But that's kind of the final call out that I have here. I'm looking at the poll. I see that we have a pretty good mix. We have about 71% that don't capture employment information yet, and about 29% that do capture it already. And so I think that this is really the first step to being able to obviously uncover match opportunities. When you know where your donors work, you can then kind of use either a database or manual research to determine if that company offers a matching gift program. And then, as we'll kind of get into, provide them those next steps later on. And so I appreciate you guys kind of letting me know who already captures it and who doesn't yet. I think this is a great opportunity if you're not already, because there are also, as we'll get into, a host of other benefits to collecting employment data. You can use it to inform your corporate partnership approach. It's also just helpful to know where your donors work for other reasons as well. And so I think capturing employment information is a really great way to uncover match opportunities and elevate your fundraising strategies overall. Following that, once you kind of uncover those match opportunities by collecting that employment information and checking it against either a database or doing that manual research to determine if a donor kind of is eligible, it's really time to motivate your donors to take action and ensure that they follow the request process all the way through to completion. Since we know that donors really kind of are most connected to your organization at the actual point of donation, it really is in your best interest to leverage that connection and leverage that the donor wants to help your organization at that moment. So I always like to say, as close to the actual point of donation as possible, you want to provide donors matching gift next steps and give them insight into what they need to do next to double their impact. So one of the most kind of effective places you can do this is on your confirmation page. We know this is kind of a high traffic, high volume page, right? And so I think mentioning matching on your confirmation page is critical to unlocking your matching gift success. Again, depending on your bandwidth, this could look a few different ways. First and most effective option is to actually have donors be able to navigate directly to their matching gift form or portal from the confirmation page. Remember, we kind of discussed that every donor's matching gift next steps will differ. So if you can use technology to actually provide those different and tailored next steps directly on your confirmation page so that your donors can kick off the matching gift process in that moment, that can really elevate your efforts. So in other words, you could provide someone who works for the Home Depot a link to their portal, someone who works for Microsoft a link to theirs, and every iteration in between, right? I think that truly allows you to encourage donors to submit their match request when they're most likely to do so. And of course, before their eligibility expires, which is something we talked about before with those deadlines or any other sort of roadblocks and distractors pop up. If you don't leverage technology that enables you to do that, you could say something as simple as, and I think I mentioned this when we talked about the dedicated matching gift page. Many companies have matching gift programs. Contact your HR department to learn more, something of that nature. While this is not, of course, as direct of a call to action and still does require additional steps on behalf of the donor, like we talked about before with the matching gift page, I do think that it provides some direction, and it still reminds donors at a time when they're excited about their contribution that their gift could go even further, and it might encourage them to reach out in that exact moment so that their chances of follow through improve dramatically. So again, you have two different options here for providing those next steps close to the actual point of donation, but even just a simple mention of matching on your confirmation page can really help encourage donors to see if they qualify, to kick off that process if they do qualify, and so that you ultimately receive those funds. Of course, I know though that not everyone will take action from the confirmation page. Some donors might exit out of that page too quickly. They might put their phone down with the intention of coming back later and forget. They might be in a rush and really not able to take action then and there, right? And we don't want those to be lost opportunities. We want to help those donors take action at a time when it does make sense for them and when it does empower them. And so because of that, I highly recommend following up with all of your donors post-contribution. To donors where you already know their eligibility, and even to donors where you might not be entirely sure yet because they didn't supply their employer name during the donation process. So you're just not quite sure if they're match eligible yet. And so to kind of show you how that follow-up could look and differ, to those donors who you know where they work, you know that they're match eligible, you can send personalized reminders and next steps. You can guide them to their company's specific form. Or you can simply tell them that they're eligible, encourage them to take action. If that's kind of a simpler lift for you, you can't access that form right away. The key here is always that you want to remind eligible donors to leverage their program and show them how once they do leverage their program, it kind of enables them to amplify their own individual impact and make their gift go even further than they probably would have thought even possible. With donors who you're not sure if they qualify for a match yet because you don't know where they work, you can give them an extra opportunity to engage with matching. So you can send an email that maybe highlights the benefits of matching gifts, reminds them that a lot of companies have these programs in place, and then you could guide them to your dedicated matching gift page on your website where they can receive even more thorough and detailed information on the matching gift opportunity. And even for donors where you believe they're ineligible, you might still be able to send them matching gift touch points to unlock your success too, letting them know that some companies will match like the charitable contributions of employee spouses. Then you can encourage them to see if they could have eligibility in that kind of way. Or you might choose to reach out to some ineligible donors and ask them to advocate for the creation of a matching gift program at their company. You can kind of remind them the benefits of matching to all the parties involved, see if they might be interested in approaching their company about those benefits to build the business case and really kind of open up the door for that engagement. So remember, sending these matching gift follow-ups and touch points post-donation can be highly engaging. And I think besides obviously just the benefit here of reminding donors to engage with the matching gift process, therefore, of course, increasing the number of matches submitted, the amount of matching gift revenue you receive, I think that the other great thing about sending these matching gift emails is that they serve as a really kind of empowering post-donation touch point that can help you nurture all of your donor relationships. I think we know that donors increasingly want to get involved with your organization beyond just that traditional financial donation. And so in the days or weeks following their donation, they might be really receptive and even actively kind of looking for these opportunities to further support you and engage with your organization. And so by reinforcing that you appreciate their initial gift and showing them that submitting a match through their employer is another great way for them to make an impact, I think you can get this donor enthusiastic and satisfied with the entire donation experience overall. This is a really great way to keep the donor involved and increase the chances that you retain them year over year. And of course, for those matching gift donors, we know that they have a high lifetime value and can bring a lot of benefits to your organization in terms of like helping you diversify revenue streams, grow your fundraising, all of that. And so you always want to be sure you can retain these donors. Providing them matching gift details and information following the donation process is one really great way to do so. As with everything related to your donor outreach, in order for these kind of post-donation matching gift touch points to have maximum impact, ensuring that you layer in personalization, that you personalize these communications is really important. So in its most kind of basic or simplest sense, I think address the donor by name, obviously reference their gift amount, add in those other little personal details that make them feel like this was meant for them. And to further show that, rather than just having this email, be sent from a generic account name or not signed by anyone from your organization, you can increase the effect this email has by making it come from a board member, a director, or some other influential person at your organization. They can sign off on it. And I think that this kind of ensures that the donor interacts with the communication and fully engages. And then the other kind of point that I want to make here to bolster the effectiveness of this is to layer in some branding elements within your matching gift communications too. So use your logo, your colors, your voice, and all of those other different elements so that the donor is reminded of the connection they have to you and is kind of encouraged to interact with the matching gift process. In summary, before we move on, I do think that these post-donation touch points do a really great job in helping you connect with donors in these more meaningful and long-lasting ways. Matching gift touch points are definitely, part of any effective and engaging donor outreach strategy, and your organization can definitely begin sending matching gift emails to all your donors today. As a note, though, as you aim to kind of move donors along their journey, I know you might have some donors who maybe you don't want to send emails to, or maybe you see some top opportunities who have yet to interact with the process. And so here I want to provide you with a few other ideas to encourage donors to submit their match request. First, I think text and phone calls can be a great way to remind some of your top donors to submit that request. We know that text is effective because donors are always on their phone. So sending a text to those who have unknown eligibility that says something along the lines of, what we see here, your donation may be eligible for a corporate match from your employer. You can facilitate that engagement and kind of build that excitement that we talked about before. In terms of phone calls, I think this is a great opportunity. If you have a donor who made a larger gift, you know that they're match eligible, but they haven't taken any action yet. If you can pick up the phone to once again thank them for their contribution, check in with them and remind them that they're match eligible, this can allow you to have a really authentic conversation with them and gives you a personalized way to encourage them to take that action now. Of course, you can then send them their specific information and link over email or some other channel to make it easier after the call. But I think that one-on-one kind of human level interaction can be what this donor needed. Then in a similar vein, if you interact with donors in person, whether that be at an event or with some of your major donors, if you're just meeting them to get their feedback and kind of ideas for future initiatives, I do think that mentioning matching and weaving it into those conversations allows the donor to maybe ask you more questions if they have any, and can be a really sticky message. They'll probably remember that conversation, the connection they have to you, and that can kind of encourage them to go ahead and submit their match. I know that these were brief and fairly basic or intuitive suggestions here, but I think that the point really is that sometimes you might want to engage your top donors with matching gifts through different communication avenues so that you increase their chances of following that process all the way through. There are a number of different ways to really engage your donors with matching gifts and make this empowering for them. And as our last kind of little reminder and way to encourage donors to submit their match request, I recognize that you recognize your matching gift donors in public ways when possible. Ask those matching gift donors if they want to be highlighted maybe on your social media, maybe within a newsletter on your website, or any of those other kind of avenues. Creating this sort of recognition campaign and allowing matching gift donors to share their why story of why they gave to your organization, what their initial contribution and their match went, and what it meant to them, I think that can help you really lean into storytelling and create some social proof. Donors really do kind of appreciate collective action, and they have this fear of missing out. And so if they see that other donors are giving, leveraging their match eligibility, that makes them really eager to see if they qualify and take action if so. They don't want to miss out on that opportunity. They want to experience that same satisfaction. They want to have that same amplified impact that their peers have. And so that might make them realize just how powerful and prevalent matching gifts can be. Plus, I also think since a lot of times donors might enjoy being highlighted, since they appreciate your organization, they like your mission, they want to be affiliated or associated with you, seeing their donation as a kind of reflection of their identity even, they might recognize that if they give and get their gift matched, they too might have this opportunity to be spotlighted and share their story. And so that can really encourage them to contribute to your organization and get their gift matched. So I think this strategy of recognizing your matching gift donors can help you encourage more individuals to submit their requests, but it can also kind of encourage the satisfaction of those individuals who have submitted the request and are now being highlighted. When they feel that you value them, you appreciate their generosity, that's a really lingering feeling and can make them feel really connected to your organization. And so now that we've kind of fully unpacked the match opportunity, identified a few ways to harness this form of giving, I do want to quickly spend a little bit of time looking ahead as we kind of prepare for the future of fundraising and the future of giving. What can we kind of expect from matching gifts? I like to add this section because I think what we can effectively show or demonstrate is that promoting matching gifts, incorporating matching gifts into your strategy will help you really promote sustainable fundraising in the long run. The reason that I stress that is because we actually see companies are highly incentivized to implement or maintain or expand their programs. The reason being that we're seeing that companies kind of recognize that matching gifts are a powerful CSR tool for them. I know that companies kind of face this mounting pressure from employees, from consumers to really be responsible, to do good. There's definitely this increased emphasis on CSR. And I always like to think of, this idea of CSR as doing well by doing good. And I think matching gifts allow companies to really demonstrate that. And so as younger generations increasingly enter the workforce, as they increase their influence as consumers, I think companies feel that pressure. They want to be socially responsible. They want to live up to expectations. And so they're seeing matching gifts and matching gift programs as a really great way to do this. Because through matching gift programs, companies can essentially show employees that they care about their unique interests. They want their employees to be able to take a stance. They commit to helping organizations whose values align with employee interests. And so because of that, they'll actually help the employee amplify their impact on that organization. Also, by doing this, the company gets to send kind of funds to a lot of different nonprofits and organizations so they can address kind of multiple areas of CSR. They can improve multiple areas of society. That's why, in particular, we do see this trend that unrestricted matching gift programs are on the rise and have increased by 48% over the past 3 years. Just to give a little background, an unrestricted matching gift program is kind of what I talked about in the beginning, where companies are less and less setting restrictions about which institutions they'll match to. So they're making their programs open choice, meaning that employees can donate to any nonprofit, any educational institution of their choice. So if someone decides to donate to a museum, if someone decides to donate to a school, if someone decides to donate to an animal shelter or food shelter, all of those different things, they'll match all of those donations. And so I think this is really powerful and is a reason that it's important to incorporate matching gifts into your strategy today, because it's likely that we're going to continue to see these programs grow, which means your institution will be highly likely to receive matches and be able to kind of reach match eligible donors. And so to kind of sum it all up and tie a bow on it here, I just want to kind of mention this before I do kind of field some questions. Remember that matching gift programs do generate value for all parties involved. For your donors, they're obviously able to amplify their own impact on a mission, on a cause that they care about, at the same time that they're able to take advantage of an employer program and benefit from that. For you, you're able to engage with donors meaningfully and receive additional funds when you promote matching gifts, both because of the match and also that potential increased conversion and even initial donation amounts, where we said that sometimes donors will give more when they know their gift will be matched. So a lot of benefits for you there as well. And then, of course, as I briefly just touched on, the company wins too because they can demonstrate their responsibility. They can engage their employees, which of course can build kind of loyalty and retention over time. They can support organizations in the communities where their employees live and work. They can show to consumers increased demand for their products, things like that. So I think that there are a lot of benefits for every party involved. Companies are incentivized to create and maintain these programs. You're very likely to receive matches, receive those funds, be able to form strong donor relationships and even strong corporate relationships from this. And then, of course, donors benefit because they take pride in their employer offering this program, and they're able to have a bigger impact on your cause without having to dig deeper into their pocket. So again, just so much value in these matching gift programs, which is why I think incorporating them into your strategy today will be sustainable for you in the long run and can really position you to get ahead of some of those trends that we're talking about. But with that, I will transition into a Q&A period, and I do have some contact information on the screen here if you maybe have a question you want to ask offline as well. But I think, Meredith, if there were any questions that came in, I'm more than happy to take those now.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Mackenzie. There was so much valuable information in there. And we are, for the people asking, we'll be sending out the recording and the slides after. So you will have access to all of those. But let's get into a couple questions here. So we got a question from Melissa, who says they have used Double the Donation in the past, but they had a hard time getting donors to adopt it. So do you have any tips for getting donors to kind of take that initiative to check with their company?
Yeah, I think that that's a great question. And I'm assuming that we do see a lot of high engagement from donors, like on the donation form, if you ask for their employment information there and on the confirmation page, because they're in the giving mindset. I'm assuming that this question, and correct me if I'm wrong, is maybe targeted on like once those automated matching gift emails are sent, how do you get donors to really engage with those and take action from those? I think it honestly goes back to a lot of email best practices too, which is the great thing about Double the Donation, is that our emails are customizable. So you can like leverage your branding, like I mentioned before. You can leverage your language, your logos, all of that. And so I think First, it starts with like subject line. You want to make sure that your subject line like mentions something like have double the impact or see if your employer will match your gift. That increases open rates, which of course in and of itself is going to increase engagement. But then I think it also goes into like the body of the email, being sure that at the top you emphasize how easy it is to engage with matching and also the benefits to the individual of submitting that match request because they can have double the impact on your cause that they care about. So mentioning something related to your mission and mission programming, I think it can encourage individuals to click that button within those emails to go to their matching gift form and follow that process through to completion. So I think that's one way. But I think the other way too is just kind of marketing matching gifts year round at your organization, sharing those stories of matching gift impact all year throughout your social channels, throughout all of your other communication avenues can build that excitement that is so crucial to getting donors to interact with any process in the first place. If they hear about matching from you all the time, they're probably going to see that email and want to know if it applies to them. You can kind of build that excitement ahead of time. So I think that there are a lot of different ways to increase adoption, but I definitely think optimizing your emails and then of course like promoting a few or devoting rather a few resources to promoting matching gifts are two really great ways to increase that adoption.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I always, I think sometimes we underestimate how powerful emails are.
Yeah.
And they're such a great tool, especially for these kinds of things. Okay, so we got two questions that are kind of related. One was from Sabara and one was from Kavya. So they're wondering, how which companies would match. So is there a database where they can look that will help find what companies offer matching gifts and could be eligible for a matching gift campaign?
Yeah, that's a great question. Double the donation, we do, if you use our software, we do have a database that contains over 24,000 employer matching gift programs. So of course, that's one easy way. But I know that not all organizations leverage automation yet or might be looking for like other ways to get started. So I do like to give a few other suggestions as well, one of which being double the donation. We do have a lot of great resources on our blog that highlight just some of the top matching gift companies in general. So I know I mentioned before that like 65% of Fortune 500 companies do have matching gift programs. We have a lot of great information about that on our blog. If you're just looking for like some easy wins, like Microsoft has a matching gift program, Starbucks does, CarMax, Verizon, like big ones like that. So that's of course one way. But then also I know that one of the trends that I mentioned was that companies are like implementing these programs more, that they're making open choice programs. I think along with that comes that companies are being a little bit more explicit and open about communicating that they do have these programs in place. So you might be able to, once you know where a donor works, literally look up their company plus matching gifts and see if on their that company's website they actually like list what their matching gift program is and what the details of it are. I know that's a little bit more manual and might be a little bit time consuming, but I do like to give that suggestion because it can be an easy win right off the bat, especially if you have like a donor who's giving, I don't know, like $1,000 and you want to see if they're match eligible, because obviously the impact of that's really profound. That could be a great way to target your research as such. So yes, there's databases, but there are also manual ways that you could uncover some of those opportunities as well.
Amazing. So I see a few questions coming in that are a little bit more specific to double the donation, things about your pricing model and that kind of stuff. So if it's okay, I think I'm going to pass those over to Mackenzie after the webinar, and we can get somebody from Double the Donation to help you guys out with those. But we got a question come in advance that says, how do we make our matching gift program unique and stand out from other organizations?
Yeah, I think that that's a great question. And I think that I'll give a really basic answer first. I think to make it unique and stand out, of course, you want to go back to your mission at every step of the way. So communicating those stories of how matching gifts have helped some aspect of your mission, I think is what's going to be most powerful and most poignant. And of course, your mission is unique to you. So that will make your matching gift program unique and it'll obviously resonate with your donor base. I think that the other thing is one point that I mentioned before. I think if you can highlight your matching gift donors and find ways to really thank them for their efforts, because while matching is usually fairly straightforward and simple for them, they are taking an additional step to kind of request that match from their employer. So fully showing that appreciation and generosity and kind of stewarding them in that way, I think is one way to make your matching gift program stand out. And then I think, of course, too, leveraging things like video, graphics, and marketing matching gifts in this unique way that's really digestible, that's easy for the donor to understand and to feel energized by, can also make your program stand out. So I think it all goes probably, and this just might be that I like marketing, but a lot of it does go back to how you're marketing those opportunities and making sure that donors really see that the benefit is to them, that it helps your organization and what that means for your mission and how that will enable you to like reach a new stage of growth. And then just highlighting those donors too, showing your full appreciation can of course make those donors more satisfied, but help you reach new audiences, because a donor might be highlighted on your social media for being a matching gift donor. Then they'll probably want to share that on their social media page. That gets you in front of more people that might be match eligible, et cetera, et cetera. So I think finding ways to really show that appreciation can help you.
Amazing. And we have time for one more, and we always kind of try to end with this question, but there was one thing from your presentation today that you hope that everybody kind of takes away and starts to think about at their organization. What would that be?
Yeah, I think I kind of briefly mentioned this at the beginning, but I know that fundraising professionals are busy. We all have different bandwidths depending on your organization size. And so I think what I would emphasize is that matching gifts can be an easy win if you take a proactive approach to matching gifts. So I think very simply collecting employment information is a really easy way to get started. When you know where your donors work, that can help you uncover these match opportunities so that you can either call them, email them, whatever makes sense for your organization. Let them know that they're eligible, encourage them to interact with the process. But beyond that, the other reason that I would say collect employment information is because we also know that that employment information can be used to inform things like corporate partnerships. So if you see that a lot of your donors work for the same company, you might be able to, even if that company doesn't have a matching gift program, reach out to them and say, hey, would you sponsor my event? It looks like a lot of your employees are interested in my cause. This might be a great opportunity for you to get in front of a good target audience, things like that. So I think that the reason that I emphasize employment information, taking that proactive approach, is just all of the benefits that it can provide and helping you know who your donors are, what companies might be interested in supporting your cause, and all of those kind of associated benefits.
Amazing. Okay, well, we are at time, and that concludes the session for today. But thank you so much again, Mackenzie, for this incredible presentation. I'm sure everybody is ready to go out and secure those matching gifts. So before we go, I just want to let everybody know that there will be a very short survey that will pop up right after the session. Should take you only about 20 seconds, and we would greatly appreciate hearing your feedback on today's webinar. We also have our next Key Labs webinar coming out Tuesday, May 23rd with Mallory Erickson, called Understanding Clean Data and Overcoming Hurdles to Effective Data Management That Helps You Raise More. Staff will be leaving the link to register for that webinar in the chat. So thank you, everybody, again. Thank you, Mackenzie, and I hope we see you all at the next webinar.
Yeah, thank you. Feel free to reach out.
Thanks, everybody.